Hi, this is Shauna Sheets with the Kahler Team at Keller Realty, and today I am joined by Luke Dye, one of our preferred lenders with CMG Financial. We've asked him today to come and visit with us a little bit about what it takes to get pre-qualified and what's important. Thanks for joining me today, Luke.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So one of the biggest things we're seeing in this market today is how to be very competitive. We're currently in a competitive market. That's not always the case, but the same principles apply in regards to getting pre-qualified. Would you agree?
Correct, yes.
And so one of the differences is the getting a local lender, someone who is based right here out of our market, Rapid City, South Dakota, the Black Hills region, versus an online lender. Can you share some of the thoughts on that regarding local versus a big online company?
Absolutely. So why use a local lender? A lot of aspects. A couple of them, you can set up a face-to-face meeting. I prefer to have face-to-face meetings as much as possible with clients. Mm-hmm. To me, it's different than doing everything over the phone or through email and the internet. We're here in the market. We understand the local market, how everything operates, work with the title companies and appraisers right here in the Black Hills. We make the process as easy as possible. Availability, you can get in touch with me in the evenings and weekends, whereas a online or out-of-market lender may not be the case. And then after closing, relationship. I live here, raise my family here. I'm here for good, mm-hmm. and I like to set up that relationship with clients for the next house they buy, or if they need to refinance, they build a relationship.
You know, you brought up the aspect that we can reach you, and I would agree with that in all of the buyers that I've worked with. And when I'm on the fly on a Saturday showing several homes and we're prepared to write, being able to call you directly on the way to the office to write the offer with the details of the house and have you have that pre-qualification specific to that home, pre-approval, specific to that home ready at the time we write the offer has been very helpful. And that's not necessarily something that we can get with an online lender.
Correct. And it's big.
Yeah, it is. So in addition to that, I use the word pre-qualification. That comes to my next question. Would you explain the difference between being pre-qualified and pre-approved?
Sure, and it's a big difference. A pre-qualification is basically you enter your information on an app or over the phone with a lender, and they just take the information you give them, run numbers based on that, and say, okay, you're pre-qualified. It's not verified. I only do pre-approval. We literally almost underwrite the file before I send you a letter, where I verify every part of the information that a buyer gives us to make sure that we have a valid pre-approval. And it's super critical in this market. If you're going to write an offer, we want to make sure that it is solid.
So in other words, getting pre-approved gives you an extra level of competitiveness to a cash offer, where cash is sitting there and a seller can be assured that the money is there to buy the home. At pre-approval, you're backing that up. You're saying,
Correct.
I have verified it and I know I can close this loan.
Correct. And the listing agent and seller, based on our reputation from being here in town, should know that as well, and it could be the difference between your offer getting accepted or not.
Perfect. So because you're verifying everything, certainly it can take a little longer, maybe than a pre-qual.
Correct.
But what is the length of time someone can expect and putting in their application and getting pre-approved?
The biggest factor with time is how quick they can get me the information.
Okay.
And we can literally do same-day pre-approval if I have everything we need, or if it's going to take a while to get documents and verify other information, or if it's complex, it could be a couple days. As long as a week, but it all depends on how quick the borrower can get us the information. And with technology, that's something that's very simple to do these days,
Perfect.
Even when you're traveling.
So we're talking as if you're working with a buyer, which you are, but as an agent who also works with sellers, I can add to the comments that you've made in saying that when I am working for a seller and receive multiple offers on a listing, I'm going to look at things like who is the lender, what is their reputation, what is our history with them, what is their availability to answer questions, and so on. So I just want to reiterate how valuable that is when I'm representing a seller, to know that the lender is someone that we can bank on too, so that we have that competitive offer. We are in a time right now where it's extremely competitive, and particularly now more than ever against cash buyers. So it used to be that probably over 90% of buyers in the market were financed. So if you were in a multiple offer situation, you were a lender versus a lender, or a financed buyer versus a financed buyer. Now we're finding more and more that our buyers who are financed are competing against cash buyers. They might be coming from out of state. They might be that retirement buyer who's taking the equity from a previous home and putting it down on a new home. And we're trying to find ways to be more competitive, because oftentimes cash is king. So do you have any tips on what a pre-approved buyer who's financed can do specifically to make them stronger when competing against cash?
Sure. First off, have everything put together. It's right now more than ever the importance of having the pre-approval done and everything lined up,
Okay.
where you can write that offer instantly and as strong as possible. One thing, higher amount of earnest money up front makes your offer more serious. And then just the pre-approval coming from a local lender with the reputation, and doing everything you can to have all that in place, because it's going to be competitive.
You brought up earnest money. Thank you for that, because one thing that we see in our market historically is lower earnest money. I have people coming from other markets, and they're used to putting down 1% of the purchase price or 2%, and we see a lot of lower earnest money. I just want to add to that in saying that it is important in a competitive market for a buyer to have some money set aside for the purpose of this transaction, and that when you can write the check at the time of the offer for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for that earnest money, you are going to come across as a stronger buyer. You're going to look on paper like you're a better bet when a seller is comparing apples to apples. Having that higher earnest money will certainly help with that. Well, Luke, thank you again for coming in. We appreciate your time, and that you were willing to share some of your advice with our clients. If you have any questions, you can always get a hold of the Kahler team. Luke and CMG are on our website as well, so you can reach out to Luke at any time. We thank you for watching this tidbit today.
Thanks.